Hello, I'm Karen Hoff, host with American Dream TV. We are currently at the Travelers Rest Historic Home and Museum, home of John and Mary Overton. Come on. Hello, we're in the oldest section of the Travelers Rest Historic Home, and we're speaking with Andy Blair. He is the Director of Historic Interpretation. Hi, Andy.
Hello, Karen. Thank you all so much for coming today.
Oh, we're just pleased to be here. Can you tell me a little bit about John Overton's home and Mary McConnell White May's home?
Certainly. So Judge John Overton purchased this land and property in 1796, so the same year that Tennessee became a state. It was a little over 300 acres that originally belonged to a David Maxwell as a Revolutionary War land grant. And so within 5 years, he began construction of this home in 1799. So this year it marks our 225th anniversary for the building of the house, and it's the oldest historic home in Davidson County that you can visit as a house museum.
Wonderful. And you were talking to me earlier about this as a federal designed home from the front.
It is. As you kind of see from the front of the house, everything to the right of the front door is the oldest section that was built as 2 rooms over 2. We're about 6 to 7 miles south of downtown Nashville, and this was still very much a wilderness in the early 1800s. And so Judge Overton, certainly having the money and finances, builds this larger frame home that starts out 2 rooms over 2. He living here as a bachelor. He would add a section to the left of the property within 1 or 2 years by early 1800s as a law office and a room up above for law clerks and students living and working under him. During the time that Judge Overton lived here, there was around, at the time of his death in 1833, at age 67, there was around 53 enslaved men, women, and children that lived and worked here. There was a lot of great personal primary source records that we still have today that mention many of those enslaved people by name. Sadly, with his second generation, John Overton Jr., and later generations, as we get to the eve of the Civil War, much of that paper trail is lost. One of the African-American men after the Civil War, a man by the name of Claiborne Hines, comes to Travelers Rest in search of his brother that had been the carriage driver here on the property and once enslaved by the Overtons. And so he would meet his brother in downtown Nashville in search of him after the Civil War. They had been sadly separated as young children from Virginia growing up, and met together here back and formed their time together back here at Travelers Rest. We do have weddings and events. So the property started out in Judge Overton's lifetime over 300 acres. By its height, it was a little over 2,000 acres. Today, we're just a little less than 8 acres. With 2 historic outbuildings, the smokehouse and that weaving house farm office, separate building where we have more of an exhibit on the enslaved men, women, and children that lived and worked here. But also down front, where our visitor center and museum is today, we have a great museum exhibit space that encompasses more about the Overton family, but also some of the earliest residents, being the Mississippian people here.
And I want to close with, you would talk to me on the phone, or maybe it might have been Catherine, about the Mississippian time period, before the Mississippian time period, the indigenous people that lived here that were not here by the time John Overton got here.
Yes, so there was a group of people that were living here at least 500 years before Judge Overton came to this land and property, at least 800, possibly as much as almost 1,000 years ago. People living here on this property, we collectively refer to this as the Mississippian era, or more Mississippian people. They would often build ceremonial mounds or even burial mounds. Many times they would bury deceased loved ones in stone box graves. When they were building and constructing this home, Judge Overton, the work that was done by both free as well as enslaved labor, they uncovered just over 30 burials in the basement of the home as stone box graves. So originally he would call the home Golgotha, kind of taken from the Arabic term for the Mount, Hill of Calvary, Hill of the Skulls. But it doesn't sound too inviting or pleasing for the house.
Travelers Rest was much more pleasing.
And so I think he kind of gets the name Travelers Rest. He kind of considered himself a weary traveler, especially being on the circuit court, traveling many hundreds of miles every year, and kind of considered himself a weary traveler needing a place to come home and rest. So
definitely sounds like a place we want to come visit soon.
Exactly.
Travelers Rest has so much to offer. It's a jewel in the crown of Davidson County, and well worth your time to visit. Thank you so much, Shana.
Thank you, Karen. Very nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming.
I appreciate it. Thank you for touring Historic Travelers Rest Home and Museum today with me. And also thank you from American Dream TV and Karen Hoff. Have a great day.